What if I told you? Some of the celebrities you grew up loving, the ones you laughed with, the ones you admired, the ones you trusted, have blood tied to their names. Not rumors, not conspiracy theories, not movie roles. Real people, real deaths. Some were accidents, some were covered up, some were followed by apologies, and some were followed by silence, because fame does something terrifying. It doesn't just protect people. Sometimes, it erases consequences. Today, we're diving into the dark side of celebrity, stories that were buried under headlines, settlements, and PR teams. Buckle up, because once you know these stories, you can't unknow them. Ryan Grantham. Ryan Grantham was supposed to be a success story, a Canadian child actor who appeared in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Supernatural, Riverdale, and iZombie. To the public, he was just another familiar TV face. Behind closed doors, something was breaking. Ryan lived with his mother, Barbara Waite, a woman described by friends as loving, supportive, and deeply involved in his career. His father was largely absent, leaving Barbara at the emotional center of his life. But as Ryan grew older, the roles slowed down. Auditions stopped calling. The spotlight faded. And in the entertainment industry, silence can be deadly. In personal journals later recovered by police, Ryan documented deep self-hatred, violent thoughts, and severe depression. He wrote about urges to harm others. He consumed graphic content online, and his mental state continued to spiral. Then came March 31st, 2020. While his mother played piano in their home in Squamish, British Columbia, Ryan approached her from behind and shot her in the head. After killing his own mother, Ryan didn't call police. He staged the scene, covering her body, lighting candles. Then he prepared for something even worse. His car was loaded with weapons, ammunition, Molotov cocktails, and camping gear. His plan? To assassinate Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and potentially carry out a mass shooting at Simon Fraser University. For hours, he drove aimlessly. Eventually, reality caught up to him. Ryan walked into a police station and confessed. In 2022, he pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison, with no chance of parole for 14 years. One of the darkest cases of a child star completely collapsing under untreated mental illness. Matthew Broderick. Matthew Broderick was Hollywood royalty. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Lion King, a face tied to millions of childhood memories. But in 1987, his name became linked to tragedy. While vacationing in Northern Ireland with actress Jennifer Grey, Broderick rented a car. Driving on unfamiliar roads, he entered the wrong lane. The crash was head-on. 2 women were killed instantly. Margaret Doherty, 63, and Anna Gallagher, 28. Broderick survived with injuries. Jennifer Grey survived with whiplash. Broderick was initially charged with causing death by dangerous driving, a charge that could have meant prison. Instead, the charge was reduced to careless driving. His punishment? A fine of roughly $175. 2 lives, a parking ticket level consequence. The backlash was massive, but his career untouched. Within years, he was voicing Simba in one of the biggest animated films of all time. To this day, the case is cited as a textbook example of how celebrity status can soften justice. Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious wasn't famous for talent. He was famous for being dangerous. As bassist for the Sex Pistols, Sid embodied punk rock, chaos, rebellion, and self-destruction. His relationship with Nancy Spungen was explosive, violent, and fueled by heroin. In 1978, the couple moved into New York's infamous Chelsea Hotel. Their room became a drug-filled nightmare. Then, on October 12, 1978, Nancy was found dead in the bathroom, stabbed. Sid was arrested and initially confessed, then recanted, claiming he didn't remember anything. Some believe Sid killed her. Others believe a dealer did. Some believe it was an accident. We'll never know. Sid died of a heroin overdose before trial. No conviction, no closure. Just another life erased in the fog of addiction and fame. Caitlyn Jenner. In 2015, Caitlyn Jenner was already a global figure, Olympic legend, reality TV icon. Then came the accident. On the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu, Jenner rear-ended a vehicle driven by Kim Howe, pushing it into oncoming traffic. Kim Howe was killed instantly. Investigators found Jenner wasn't intoxicated. She wasn't texting, but she was speeding. Despite the fatal outcome, no criminal charges were filed. The case was settled through civil lawsuits, quietly, with undisclosed payouts. Once again, money closed the chapter, and the story faded from headlines. Phil Lewis. Phil Lewis was Mr. Mosby, a Disney icon, a childhood staple. But before Disney, there was prison. In 1991, Lewis drove drunk in Maryland and crashed. A 21-year-old woman named Isabel Dvoretsky was killed. Lewis was convicted of vehicular manslaughter, sentenced to 5 years. He served 1. After his release, he worked with prison theater programs, educating inmates about drunk driving. Years later, Disney gave him a second chance. Unlike others on this list, Lewis publicly accepted responsibility. A rare example of guilt and redemption, Ted Kennedy. The Kennedy name is haunted, but Chappaquiddick, 1969, remains one of its darkest moments. Senator Ted Kennedy drove off a bridge with Mary Jo Kopechne in the passenger seat. Kennedy escaped. She didn't. He waited hours before reporting the accident. Experts later said she may have survived, if help came sooner. Kennedy pleaded guilty to leaving the scene. No jail time. His career survived. Her life didn't. Alec Baldwin. In 2021, on the set of Rust, a prop gun fired a live round. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed. A live bullet where none should ever exist. After years of investigations and lawsuits, Baldwin's criminal charges were dismissed in 2024. The armorer was convicted. The debate continues. Was Baldwin responsible? Was the system broken? Or was this a chain of negligence with no single villain? One thing is certain, Helena Hutchins never came home. These stories aren't about canceling celebrities. They're about remembering victims. Because fame doesn't erase death, money doesn't undo loss, and silence doesn't mean innocence. If this video made you uncomfortable, good. Truth usually does. If you want more deep dive documentaries like this, subscribe and tell me what story you want next. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.